Well, hello, everyone. Oh my goodness, there's some beautiful faces in this room. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Mary. I am Rasheida. It ain't Lisa Bennett, but I'm Rasheida Bennett. I'm the better half. I'm just
Oh,
saying.
okay. All
I'm
right.
just saying. I need to throw that out there.
Nice to meet you.
You as well. In a few minutes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started. I'm going to just do a quick welcome, and we'll get this thing going.
Okay.
All right. Hello, all my wonderful, beautiful women in the room. Welcome to Let's Talk with Lisa and Rasheida. Of course, it's just Rasheida today. Just want to say, before we get started, I just want you all to ask you all to on Facebook, on Instagram, on Zoom, or whatever, share it out. Share it to as many people as you can. We want to have as many people kind of in this conversation or commenting on Facebook as much as possible. And we just keep the conversation stimulating and keep it going. So right now, just for a few minutes, throw it out there. Share it as much as you possibly can. All right. So someone's going to give you a few minutes. All right. 1, 2, 3, y'all go. Share. I have shared it. Lisa has shared it. We just going to definitely get the word out. And then hopefully some more people will get in the Zoom room or comment on Facebook. You know, we also have a lot of people that are on Facebook and also on Instagram, kind of mesh together. We're making technology do all the work for us. All right. So I want to talk about our topic today. Our topic is in honor of Women's Month. We are honoring the women in our lives who made us who we are, made us the strong, wonderful, beautiful, independent, strong, motivating, captivating, inspiring,
All right.
that we've grown into and has blossomed over the many, many, many years. So, you know, I personally, when this topic was given to us, I was excited, like kind of jumping all over the moon because I have quite a few women in my life that kind of made this diva that you see in front of you here. You never know what hair I got on. You never know what look is coming out. You just never know. And believe it or not, just that, because I am a woman of many looks, and there was a woman who was very influential in my life who helped kind of develop kind of that wonderful part of me. But we'll get to that in a minute. So what we're gonna do is we have a few guests on here, and I would like to take a moment and just you say your name and kind of how you're connected here, and then we're going to just start this, and after that, we're going to start this discussion. Remember, you can join us, everybody out there in Facebook land and Zoom and Instagram. Come on, join the room just by clicking the link in the chat. And right inside that chat, Lisa's probably put it in there. Just click on that, come on in the room and join the conversation. Now look at that, got some more beautiful faces in there. Hello. I see Diane Ware. I can barely see you. You are really dark. You might want to get to where the light is like in front of you. because we all need that. Yes, the illumination is there. Wonderful. Yes, I see you. I see you. Okay, that's wonderful. I'm so glad people are really jumping in and on the and into the Zoom room. All right. So if you can unmute yourself and just tell me who you are and then how you're connected. Like, do you know me, Lisa? Do you know Sandra? How are you connected? How did you get here tonight? All right, let's start with Sandra. I love my girl, Sandra.
I got here through Lisa and Rasheida. I was invited. I didn't know what I was signing up for.
That's the norm. That's the norm.
But hey, everybody.
All right.
If family, if you're out there, come on in the Zoom room.
Wonderful.
Come on in the Zoom room.
Anybody else? You can just go right ahead.
I'm Diane. Am I in here? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you, Diane.
Oh, I'm Diane Ware from Trinity United Church of Christ in Chicago. I came through via Sandra Mosley.
Wonderful. Beautiful. Thank you for tuning in tonight. All right. So we got Regina Duncan already in here. I don't know if she can know that we can hear her.
Yeah. Regina, you probably have to mute her. She don't know.
Okay.
Hi, my name is.
Oh, Mary, you might have to unmute yourself.
Oh, there I go again.
Great.
Okay, I'm Mary Hurt, and I was invited by Sandra Mosley.
Woo,
I know
wonderful.
her, and she's a very good friend, a sister in Christ, and I'm glad to be able to join you ladies tonight. I'm here to find out what's going on.
All right. Thank you for showing up. Elmita.
I'm late getting on. What do you want to know?
That is all right. So basically, we're just going through saying who we are and how we're connected. How did you get here tonight?
I am, well, Almeda Harris. You can see the name, yes. And Sandra Mosley is my sister.
Sister from another mother.
That's how, yeah, that's how we're connected.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you all for definitely jumping on and for introducing yourself. So we're gonna jump right into this into the conversation today. Basically, I named it who are the women that made us who we are. What you see when you look in the mirror right now, every single day. Think about the women that help create and mold you into who you are today. And so I came with I asked Sandra as well to if she could, hey, welcome to the room, Lisa Bennett, that just come up with like maybe one or two, even three if you wanted to, women, who they are, and a couple of points on just who they were that, influenced you. All right, so Sandra, you want to start first and then I'll follow?
I will start. The three are of my mother, one of my grandmothers, we called her Mama Lula, and then one of my aunts, Aunt Ruby, but we called her Aunt T. And Mom, I'm blessed to have Mom still here, and character, patience, all those good qualities that she had. I didn't get them all, but she taught them all. I didn't use them all, but she taught them all. And even now, at least a couple times a week, we talk about different things that are going on, and it's just a blessing to have that kind of guidance. The second person was my grandmother, who I spent all my summers with, and I was a tomboy, and in the South, you couldn't be a tomboy. So while the boys were out playing, I was in the house learning all of this stuff that I didn't want to learn, like cooking, cleaning, all the stuff, and, wearing a slip and how not to get your knees scuffed and all that kind of stuff.
But wearing a slip.
Yes. So how to, a lot of life skills. I learned a lot of different life skills from my mom than my grandmother. And my grandmother was about 4'11", and I'm 5'9". So, that was, that was an interesting combination growing up in the South, and she lived to be 99. So what I have learned from her, I still use today, and I've passed it on to my kids. And there were just some things that were very traditional that we helped her change. We got old. Like the one of the things that she would do is that the men always ate first in her house, and then the women and children. And it took her a long time for us to get her out of that because things had changed, but she hadn't. That's what she knew. But as far as cooking, she taught me Southern cooking. My mother taught me Northern cooking. And then the third person would be my Aunt T.
What?
Aunt T.
Oh, okay, Auntie.
Aunt Teet, Ruby. Aunt Ruby, I'll say Ruby, but we call her Aunt Teet. And she worked for this very, very wealthy family. She was the cook and the housekeeper. And my uncle was the lawnsman, so to speak. He took care of the yards and the kennel. And I had the opportunity to go there to their home when I was younger with her, when she was cooking, cleaning. Now, she ruled that house. You didn't touch her kitchen. I mean, nothing. She ruled. But what it really exposed to was that there was such a big world out there and such a different lifestyle that even as a military child was different. It was obvious that it was different. And back then, I didn't know what cashmere sweaters were. And so where she worked, it really was a mansion. They would go shopping, and when they got home, they would decide, well, I don't want anything that I bought. So I had cashmere sweaters. I didn't know, they were just nice and soft, and my attire was very different outside of school with what I had access to, but I didn't even know what it meant, what it meant. And that gave me a different perspective on the differences in terms of where people lived in versus in their communities, as well as how big the world was. And then when she got sick at age 10, I was cornrolling hair. I could do hair. I was braiding her hair when she got sick, and she lost her eyesight and different things. But in hindsight, you're like, those things made a mark because it gave me a different perception of the world as a whole. And even though she was the housekeeper, it was so evident that they really respected her. And they showed, when she passed, they showed how much they loved her. And so, yeah, I don't even know if I ever told my siblings that before, but that was something that just stuck with me. It just stuck with me. And I would listen to her talk. When she couldn't see, she could hear and she could smell like nothing. And she would just talk. And it just stuck with me.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Well, those are some really, I'm so glad that, I'm grateful and glad that you've had those women in your lives that created this amazing woman that sits before us right now. So I'm going to share mine. And ladies, if you have a moment, if you want to put together a couple of things, let me know. Could throw one out there. So, but 3 influential women in my life. Of course, my mother. She gave me life. Yes. Right. And she introduced me to Christ. She literally, and I know that might not be a lot to some people, but she introduced me to church. And then it developed into I sing in the choir, I direct the choir, I play instruments, I've recorded with a lot of really great gospel artists, and I've worked with some of the best. And she encouraged me in that, and I'm very grateful for that, because Christ is such a huge part of who you see to this day. And I know without him, you wouldn't see all of this fabulous wonderfulness. I'm just saying, if it wasn't for God, hallelujah, won't he do it? Yes, he will. So I'm very grateful for that and the things that she taught me. But that one thing is really that I value, that she really pushed how important your relationship with Christ was. Also, the other influential woman is my mother-in-law. May she rest in peace. Ida Austin Cox. This woman right here, oh my goodness, she helped me become more confident in my gifts. like I said, with anything, the church, singing, directing, she was even like my passion was doing hair and makeup. She was like, Rasheida, okay, do this, try this. She pushed me above and beyond anything that when I felt comfortable, she pushed me out of my comfort zone. So, and she really helped me embrace me being comfortable in my skin, comfortable with my skin tone. Because I was, in my family, everybody else is light skin. I'm the dark, me and my other cousin, we the dark ones in the family. She said, God made you just the way you are, and he don't make no mistakes, boo. So she helped me to embrace that as well. And my last one is my stepmother. Her name is Priscilla Williams. And a lot of people like, yo, step parent. And some people think some relationships are different. All the relationships are different between parents and step parents. But this one, what she poured into me and I showed and learned from her was she could take, now literally was my stepmother, my father, myself. From my father, I was from that marriage. And then my stepmother had two from her previous marriage. And then they had two more that they had together. If that ain't a blended family, I don't know what is. But she really did teach us that we were one unit. It wasn't, no, when I say I have a brother and sister who are white, and I have two younger sisters that are biracial. Them are my siblings, ain't no step. And I usually don't call her stepmom because she was a mother to me, but you already heard that I have my mom already, but she showed me how important it was to be one unit, no matter how diverse and how different, and also how important dinner time. When I grew up between both of my parents, they were divorced. So I had my mom who worked, she was a nurse, and she was always working. And in the evening, she worked evenings, so that's 3 to 11. So I didn't have much family dinner time. It was me, her, and my stepdad. And it wasn't just as that normal American have dinner, family time, stuff like that. That wasn't that. And when I went to visit my dad, and my stepmother made sure that dinner time was the time where kids could really talk about their day, talk about their issues. We set the table. It's the things, the foundations of things that right now, I don't know if kids have that, but I am so grateful because now I passed that on to my children and in my marriage. And I think that is very, very important to have that time. For me, it was, and I think that made a huge impact on who I am today. So those are my three most influential women in my life that made me who I am. Do anybody else would like to share one before? Okay, go ahead, Diane.
Um, I would say the first woman is my mom. And I say this, I come from two uteruses. I'll tell you how I say it.
You
That's
said
what I
two.
call it. I
Wait,
come
you
from
said
two
two
uteruses. Yeah,
uteruses.
two of them. I have a biological mother who birthed me. That's the
Mhm.
first uterus. So she brought me in this world. I was only with her for 1 year, so I really didn't know her. The second uterus was my mother who adopted me. And according to my documentation, she adopted me as if she had literally given birth to me. I have two birth certificates.
Wow.
That's why I say I have two uteruses. That's where I
Mhm.
come from. And I get my strength from my mother that raised me, that adopted me. My temperament, my from that comes from my biological mother. So I got both of them in me, put it this way, both of them. My mother that raised me, she comes from Arkansas. So remember, both of my mothers are from Arkansas. My mother has this southern hospitality. That's why everybody knows me by my smile. That's my signature, is my smile. I learned how to do all kind of cooking from my mother. She can cook everything. And you put a chicken in front of her, she can cook that chicken 100 different ways. So and buttermilk cornbread. Now those two I can jam on the buttermilk cornbread. I can
Mm.
cook buttermilk cornbread blindfolded. Okay, that's how I cook. Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay. My mother was also she was fearless. She did not fear anything other except for when she got Alzheimer's. She got lost and she didn't know her way. But she was very fearless. She did not use she I mean, if the earth moved, it did not bother her. She was never afraid day or night. She could go anywhere. She could go in the worst of neighborhoods with all her jewelry, her fur coat on. Then nobody bothered her. Church,
Okay.
she raised me up in church. We went to Sunday school and all that, and she was on the usher board, and she was a seamstress. So
Hmm.
you could whatever you wanted made. If she didn't have the pattern, she go get that brown paper bag. She get your measurements.
Listen
And she
here, you
had
said brown paper bag. Come on now.
brown paper bag, and she would draw. She would take your measurements and put it on the bag, and she could cut it and make a pattern. That's how. And I'm very crafty like that. So I got a lot of
Okay.
her crafting skills, cooking skills, and and like I said, people said, well, you always smile, and I said, yeah, because I got that from my mom. I'm always grinning and smiling, but and I just had prayer. As a matter of fact, and I'm a prayer warrior and a prayer intercessor. I have prayer training from that, and I just had prayer with my neighbor down. So he just passed. So I just had prayer with his family. And one of the things that I've learned about prayer, like with my mom, you don't see color when you pray for people, and that's how she was. You
That's
know, she
wonderful.
embraced everybody.
That's a
And a lot
blessing.
of white people love my mother. She worked in our office where she was like, you might as well say she was the boss. She was the clerk of the circuit court. But everybody loved her from all diaspora, from the white people to the Latino, from the Spanish people. I don't care who was around. Everybody loved my mother. She
Okay.
had that spirit. So that's where I
Thank
get
you.
her drive from. Then the
That's wonderful.
second one, the second one, and I talk a lot too. I got that from my
Yeah,
mom.
I'm about to say, Diane, I love you, girl. I love you, girl. We just gonna do one for right now, so that because we only got an hour show, so we're just gonna take one for now. But I appreciate you. Thank you. I love
Yes,
that,
it's a
and
lot, so I'm just gonna leave it right there.
thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. So, so we're gonna move right on to because this month, of course, is National Women's Month. Who run the world, girls? Who run this mother? We run this mother. Yes. So because yes, and so I'm just going to share with you some amazing, outstanding, dynamic women that are that are influencers right now in the United States, and they're the big hitters right now. A lot of people said, I think this last election, well, of course, with our wonderful Vice President, Miss Kamala Harris. Hallelujah.
Kamala, Kamala.
So I'm just going to run through a couple of them and just give a little bit, and then we can have a little bit of dialogue. So one of them, of course, yes, Kamala Harris. She made history in August of 2020, the first woman and first Black and South Asian woman to accept the vice president in presidential nomination, along former Vice President Joe Biden. She is, I think, the she embraces. I like that she embraces, first of all, that she's a Black woman,
Yes.
because a lot of people are biracial and some of them acknowledge one race and not the other. She acknowledges that she's an African American woman, but she also acknowledges that she's South Asian. She embraces both of those, and she says she might be the first woman in this office, but I will not be the last, because every little girl watching tonight sees that this is a country of possibility. I think
No nonsense.
her she's so poised. She takes time to articulate and make sure she's able to do exactly what she wants you to hear, exactly what she's saying. So she takes her time, and I think she's very relatable. I could see me hanging out with Kamala, both of us with our chucks on and enjoying ourselves. I mean, I think she's a relatable vice president. And yes, it feels good, because I know when you see someone that looks like you in a position that you've never ever seen them before in, it gives the younger generation, or the ones that are coming up behind us,
Mhm.
hope that they can possibly hold that position
Mhm.
and or the next position up. Cynthia, you have
Hey,
something? Oh, Lisa, go ahead.
I hope I'm not cracking up too bad. But I wanted to point out something really quickly. In your dissertation about Kamala Harris, I think it's worthwhile to put a pin there and talk about what you just said a minute ago. Why do we always force people to choose? I mean, I know I don't want to pull you off your topic too much, but I do want us to, if you can write it down, I'll write it down. But I want us to come back, and I invite these ladies to come back at a later date too, because I'd like to explore the idea of why we want people to choose. Kamala did it. We tried to force Tiger Woods to do it. We wanted people to choose either being Black or being Asian, being this or being that. Why are we so uncomfortable allowing people to be all and fully who they are? But anyway, I just want to put a pin there and say, ladies, there's an invitation, because I'm Lisa, the other half of this show, and I'd like you to come back and have that discussion with us. We'll make sure we get the dates out to you. But Rasheida, carry on. I'm loving the topic. So we're celebrating this being Women's Month, and we're celebrating women and how they imparted their knowledge to make us who we are. Right? I'm following it right. I wasn't prepping today's topic because I've been busy traveling for, I'm a consultant. So I'm catching up, but cool. I'm with you.
Thank you. Okay, listen to her. She all right now. I think I did. God bless me with an equally yoked person. Won't he do it? Yes, he will. I also, anybody else want to talk or make a comment on Kamala? Because then otherwise, because I have a couple of other people.
I think that we don't want to overlook the fact that she was qualified. She
Come on.
did her due diligence. You know, I mean, she did her work. She was prepared. And what I really like is that when she communicates at a level that's everyday language. You know, sometimes you can be a judge, you can be in Congress, and you don't really just know how to talk. Some people just don't know how to just conversate. And she does that really well. She's very warm, at least from what I've seen on the screen, but in the interactions that I've seen. And I'm proud. I'm proud we have a woman vice president, because I'm like, she's going to hold it down.
Absolutely.
She's going to bring some to that position that were not there before.
Right. Okay. Absolutely. So since we're already in the White House talking about Kamala, I'm going to also go right over to First Lady, the present First Lady, Jill Biden. A lot of people don't really know that much about, well, I know I didn't. I had to do some research. But as she is now the second lady, including she worked with advocating for military families, highlighting the importance of community colleges and your community college education. Of course, women's issues, and it ranges from breast cancer prevention and gender equality in the United States and abroad. So, I mean, she's not. I'm not going to say she ain't no slouch. She puts in her work too. And I'm in support of women of color, and I'm also support of women that are just grinding hard for our rights as women, period, and also just the rights of many other people, gender equality, whether you're it doesn't even matter. Like, if you're fighting a good fight, you get my support. And Jill definitely has been fighting a good fight. Anybody else want to talk about or say something about Jill? Yay. Okay. That is not a problem. And I will say this, she could have, for the inauguration, she looked just as fly. I'm gonna have to give it to her, as fly as the rest of Michelle and all of that. That to me, because it felt like they were all unified with the bright colors and the person that the stylist that created all of their looks was one person, and it was a Black stylist, of what I was told, and he created all of those looks specifically for each individual woman, and they all looked fabulous, classy, beautiful. Just as powerful as they were,
Right,
they
right,
looked the part as well.
right. And it kind of showed a little bit of their personalities,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in terms of what they had on. I mean, they were sharp. It's like, you sharp, you smart, you got to go, you know, everything is just working.
Correct.
Yeah, and Rasheida, you know, it was also great because often when we have this stigma about women and women's ability to work together,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes this depiction of a cat fight. And you're right. So just that the same designer dressed all of these women, and these women looked like they were a team, like they came to play ball for real. And it didn't matter if you were the speaker or if you were the VP or the first lady or whatever, and included our previous first lady. She was
Right.
on the same page with them. So they all complimented them.
That
And more than
purple was
looking like the
working.
adversarial cat fight, it looked like a sorority that had gone across the color lines, which, you know, we do that anyway, but it looked like one big sorority.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that by default means that it becomes AKA, since most of them of color who were in that collective happen to be women of Alpha Kappa Alpha. I'm just saying.
Okay now,
Here we go. Here we
okay,
go.
don't start.
But it looked like a sorority. I mean, it was just like, dang, not all of these women smart. They look good and they're working together. And here's this strong female collective representing every aspect, every look, every version of what the American woman
Mm-hmm.
looks like. Tall, short, dark, white, everybody. So that was really cool.
Yep, I agree. I agree 100%. Now, next is that the person that I ran across was Susan Rice. And for those who don't, everybody should know who Susan Rice is. But if you don't, she's a former national security advisor to President Obama. Susan Rice was reportedly considered for the post of President-elect Joe Biden's vice presidential nominee. However, it was recently announced that the former Obama admin would instead be tapped to lead the Domestic Policy Council, or the DPC. So I like that Susan Rice. She could have taken. She was in the running for that position, but even when you're not selected for a position, you're still you may think, okay, I should be in this position here, and God goes, nah, I really need you over here. And when He slides you over here, you just don't know what is when He slides you over there. You may not see what you're supposed to do right at that moment, but I like that she still is in position. She's still in a position of power and authority to make this country a little bit better. Well, a whole lot better, because Lord, we need it right now. So I am very grateful that she may not have been his nominee right at that moment, but she's definitely in the game. She's in the fight for us.
You know, I thought it was really a good move to do that too, because as we know, Rice had already been a part of the White House staff. She knows what she's doing. She's proven herself already. And so to move over and make an opportunity for somebody else who happens to be female and of color to step into yet another position in the White House, because Rice was going to have a position. There's no doubt she was going to have a position, but by not taking that position, she gave somebody else the opportunity to stand on her shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that was great. I also, you bringing up Susan Rice, I also like the strength of Susan Rice. So for some of you guys who may have missed it, a little bit of I won't say bullying, a little bit of strength. Susan Rice flexed earlier last year. If you guys were at all in tune with the battle of words between Snoop and Gayle King,
Oh
as
yeah.
it related to Kobe Bryant's death. Susan Rice, you know, Snoop and the posse were calling Gayle King all kinds of names and being disrespectful. And he said, you know, we'll bring the hood to get you. And Susan Rice quietly fired back in her style and said, I will bring the whole United States Army. Don't mess with my girl. And I said, oh, sister's showing up. And the funny thing is about that, you know, you had some people respond going, but Susan Rice, I mean, she ain't got listen, Snoop got Oakland. Susan Rice literally have the U.S. military back her. So that ain't somebody you really want to be threatening her girls and going to war with. But I just liked the flex that she did, and she did it so professionally. It went over a lot of people's head, but if you stop to evaluate the strength of what she said, when she said, I will bring the military, that was literal. She had the authority to bring the military. So
Right.
let's not
Right.
be stupid. But again, just, the power that women, this is definitely the year of the woman, the power that women are displaying. And I won't say being allowed to display, but are taking responsibility and ownership of, it's a different feel right now in the country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is.
Using what they got, taking opportunities to collaborate, leveraging each other's strengths, and
Yes.
pulling or lifting other women up who may not have opportunities. That is very different than even 10 years ago. It's not a cat fight. It might be a cat fight on some levels, but it's not a cat fight, and there's more of a feeling that people want that women who want women to succeed are working with women who want women to succeed. So if you're not someone who wants to lift somebody up, you're going to be left out.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I was about to say that. No, but I just wanted to I'm going to wrap that one up, and because I want to share this one because I did the research, and where I'm getting this information was called Powerful Women in the World in 2021. It's the New York Times. And I kind of had a glimpse of this young lady, but I really didn't know who she was. Her name is Greta Thunberg.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Greta, evidently Greta, I'm just going to read it. Greta Thunberg is only 17 years old. This young Swedish activist has started a worldwide movement for climate change.
Climate change, right.
And it is undoubtedly one of the most powerful female forces in the world today. Named Times Person of the Year in 2019. Thunberg started out by holding school strikes for her climate change outside of her Swedish parliament as a way to cause attention to climate change. I said, oh my goodness. So wait, she's 17 now. So she was doing that. I mean, she was probably like 15, 14. And it's just wonderful that she knows at a young age what her passion is, what her drive is. And I was just outdone. So, so Thunberg, she made national headlines in September of 2019 after being invited to speak at the United Nations Climate Action Summit. And while she was at the Action Summit, Thunberg delivered her now famous "How Dare You" speech in front of leaders, lawmakers, and the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. So really quickly, it's only a little small blurb. I'm just going to read it for you real quick. You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. And yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction. And all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of external economic growth. How dare you? How dare you? And that was just a small piece of her that she delivered. That how dare you? And I don't have a picture of her, but looks like she's all of this big, blonde hair, Swedish. But I think it's great that at this age she knows her passion. I mean, when she came to she went to the summit, she went and traveled from Sweden to New York City on a zero emissions yacht. I was like, wow, she's serious. Her and her father. They said it took 2 weeks, but that's commitment because she could have took a flight and been there some hours and been done.
Right.
That's commitment. I don't know about you, but I was very, very impressed by Miss Greta Thunberg.
I'm impressed by the 2-week travel excursion, particularly I probably would have slept that whole 2 weeks. I mean,
Mhm.
although now,
Mhm.
being that we get so tied up in with busy all the time, that's probably a welcome 2 week quiet, peace and quiet, because you can't go too fast. But yeah, thank you for the education on that, Rasheida. I was not aware of her and or her impact, but I will segue, or I would say build on what you said about knowing your passion or knowing what you're in tune with at 17. I am 56 as of last week, and I probably was not even clear on my own gifts and passion and all of that, probably well into my 30s. And now, even in the last, although I've been successful in a lot of ways, not probably in the last 2 or 3 years, I've even become more clear about what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. So to know that at 17 has to feel amazing,
Right.
because it feels freeing now at 50 something. But if I had felt this free at 17, there's no telling where I would be. So I applaud her.
Mhm. Mhm. But I think the difference is how we were socialized. We weren't social, at least, and I won't say we, but in general,
Mhm.
Black females were not socialized to be exploratory. When we think of, when we think of the occupations, if you were to talk to, nurses, teachers, there were certain occupations that you saw people of color and women go into, and a lot of social work. So to
Absolutely.
explore and be, I want to go explore Antarctica, or I want to go to Egypt and, play in the sand. Those were not things that were talked about even in our classrooms when we were growing up in school. So it's very different. We couldn't just, some things, the internet has done, people may feel different, but it has been phenomenal in terms of the amount of information that's available, and the amount of people that are doing great things that we just didn't know about.
Yeah,
So,
come here, Katherine Johnson, and testify, right? Hidden Figures, right? So that's what
Exactly.
makes them such a phenom, because they were so ahead of their times in challenging the status quo. So absolutely, Sandra, I concur completely.
Yeah, but she has a bright future, and her ability to be able to do that, I'm sure, was influenced by her father. But as you were talking, I was thinking about during that 2-week travel time on this yacht, she also got to see more stuff
Absolutely.
that she could use, in her speech. And she's gonna, she's definitely already made a mark as a young person. And so her future is really up to what she wants to do next.
all right, so just sort of want to throw this out there. People are asking for sign-in information. If you can, if you go right in the chat, if you just scroll up a little bit, there should be a link. Lisa's posted in there, and just says facebook.com. You just click on that link and it should bring you right in the room. Just want to throw that out there. People are asking about it. Just want to do a quick shout out to everyone on Facebook. Thank you for all the people that have taken time to jump in here as well. Just if you're just jumping into the conversation, it is Women's National Women's Month, and we are talking about some really, really powerful, influential women in 2021 and the ones that have been in our lives. So thank you. Also, I'm going to move on to the next one. I found out that I didn't really, I learned a whole lot when I was doing some research for this project right here. I was like, okay, yes, okay, some amazing women are. Of course, you know of the ones that we normally know, the Oprahs and the Shonda Rhimes, and those are people that I give kudos to, those beautiful, amazing Black women. Yes, but I'm also kind of looking for some of the ones that we don't know. It's like on Black History Month, you hear about the Martins, the Malcolms. You want to hear about some of the things that are not in the forefront or not right here in your face that you already know. So this one, I never, Bill Gates' wife, her name is Melinda Gates.
Melinda Gates.
I was like, okay, she started working as a product manager at Microsoft in '87. That's where she met her would-be husband. One of the products that she worked on during her time at the company included Expedia. It's a huge, y'all know Expedia.
Yeah, travel site.
She was a huge part of that coming to fruition. I'm just like, what? And then they started a foundation, and the goal of the foundation was placing computers and Microsoft products in libraries across the country. So they, of course, I think people like Bill Gates and Melinda, and I'm going to put my wife, Lisa Bennett, in that category because I'm just speaking it. I'm just saying you got to speak it. They are the visionaries of people who see things that people are going to need way ahead of the average person. I'm be honest with you. At times, I wouldn't consider myself a visionary because I'm made up differently. But they knew ahead of time that people were going to need these computers and things in the library, so that everybody had access to it. Even if you didn't have it in your house, you could go to the library and and use it. So I thought that was awesome. Also, that charitable foundation, it seeks to improve education and help solve global poverty and health issues. And Melinda herself, Melinda, not Bill, let me make that clear, Melinda donated a whopping $560 million towards efforts to increase access to contraception for women in developing countries. I was like, what? They didn't say 1, 2, 5. They didn't say 1, 2, 10, 20, 30. 560 million.
That's a lot of moolah. Mm-hmm.
She did that. And I said, okay. So in 2015, under the President Barack Obama presented both Bill and Melinda Gates with the Presidential Medal of Freedom for their philanthropic work. So I'm gonna have to put my hats off to you, Melinda. I definitely, when you are married to someone like, I'm gonna say a Bill Gates or a Barack Obama, you have to be a very strong woman. And you have to know what you know, and you have to be confident in who you are. And you also have to have your own vision as well. When you're married and connected to someone who is a visionary, or they're connected to someone who has this pathway and it is taking off and going to a whole nother level, you can't stay. If your partner is going here, you can't stay here. No. But God makes it so that when he puts you together, he makes sure that you're equally yoked, so that you grow together. So you might grow here and you might grow there and you may exceed it, but you are continuously growing together.
Mm-hmm.
So I will have to say, kudos to Miss Melinda Gates. I give her that.
That's awesome.
All right. Anybody else want to talk about Melinda or anybody? No?
I don't know nothing about Melinda. I've heard of Melinda Gates. I don't want to talk about her. But my mind is just going all along while you were talking. And if we even stop to think about some of the things that have been said, some of the women that have influenced us, and this came to mind when you talked about Harris and Rice and how Rice could have been in this position, but she stepped back and she said Harris. And so when you think about, Sandra talked about her grandmother and her mother and her auntie, and you talked about your mother and your stepmother and your mother-in-law. Women have always been pushing someone else up, and always, your mama did it for you. I did it.
Man,
I want them to accomplish. I push because I want them to accomplish. That's how God is intentional and deliberate in what he does.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And if a capital I and a capital F, if you follow what he's designed for you, and you stay in tune with him, then Rice knew that it wasn't her position to be vice president. She knew it was Harris's position to be vice president.
Mm-hmm.
You better preach, Almeida. Preach.
Now, when we think about it, we've always been pushed. Your grandmama pushed you. Your mama pushed you to cook. Get in the kitchen and cook. Get in there and learn how to cook. Women have always pushed women, but it's not always been publicized or so prevalent like it is now.
Right.
Now, when you talked about also about the cat fights and that. Let's go back to Genesis. Let's go back to the garden. Let's go back to the enmity that God put between the woman and the snake, the serpent. That's why women, if the women ever come together, there's going to be a different place.
Mm-hmm.
It's a totally different place. But I have to say, God is intentional and deliberate. He ain't haphazard. It don't just happen. He don't just have an afterthought. None of that. You weren't an afterthought. You were deliberately designed. But we have to follow his path in order. Kamala is where Sandra talked about. She was prepared. God always prepares us for where he wants us to be. Sometimes we don't even know we're prepared.
Right.
Come on. Yes.
He's deliberate. He's intentional. Now, our responsibility is to become deliberate and intentional for what he told us to do and stop shucking and jiving and do what he says to do.
That's my
Sacrifice.
That's my prayer sister.
We have to be intentional just as he was, because if you're not in him, get your behind somewhere and sit down, because it's all for naught. Whatever you're doing, if you're not pleasing, that's what we would design. That's our purpose, to do what he has told us to do. And and it's going to be some bumps. It's going to be some hard times. But what about Jesus? He ain't had no bumps. He ain't had no hard times. Yes, that was our example. That was our example. Okay, so women have always pushed up women, but like Sandra said, even with this little white girl, and her journey with her dad and everything, she's been pushed. She was pushed by someone. I would have never thought to do that with my children, because I wasn't my mama was a hard working single black woman, didn't have no man. She didn't take no stuff from no man. I saw her throw a mink coat at a man when he tried to lure her back in. No, get out of here. Threw the coat at him and kept going. So God has designed us, but we have to know ourselves and go in and stay with him and listen to him in order for us to be on the direct journey. Kamala was designed to be where she is. Not only was she prepared, but she was designed to be exactly, she's where, even as difficult as it is for us to comprehend. I done said some stuff, and that number 45 worked but he was in there, he was there because God allowed it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, because God allowed it. And that's still, he needed to open up our eyes, and still, even with the things that are going on today, some of us still are walking blindly. So, you know, if we just do what he tells us to do, how he tells us to do it, when he tells us to do it, then we're going to be all right.
Go ahead and preach.
Ty Tribbett, we're going to be all right. Yeah, we're going to be all right as long as we do what God tells us to do.
So I'm interested with Ms. Almeida, all of the stuff she just brought up too. Right now in the White House, being with Kamala there, as we've pointed out several times, and Dr. Biden, Jill Biden being there is almost an all-female executive staff. Press secretary, everybody. And there are more women of color in the White House today in position in history.
Right.
So it will be interesting to see how this country unfolds over the next 4 years. And God forbid, I'm not wishing anything bad on Biden. But if something does occur with him health-wise, it will be Harris as the first female president. And what will she, and who will automatically ascend to VP? I mean, I can't remember historically, because it's never happened, if that's a special election, or does that mean that Pelosi as the, because, she would be third in line in succession anyway. Does that mean she automatically slides to VP from Speaker of the House, or do we hold an election for a VP? I'm not sure, but either way, it's going to be interesting to watch this all-female staff, because everybody's female in the White House right now, except the president. All the key positions are filled by women, and a lot of them are women of color. So this is going to be an interesting 4 years.
And what does that say to us? What does that say to us? Women and women of color. Joe Biden, he ain't crazy.
Oh no,
He got some good sense.
yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna just kind of piggyback on what you were saying. You said when 45 was in the office, it was just that was on purpose. That was meant to be. Now, I think by 45 being in the office really exposed how racist America is. And my Jewish dad used to say, God is in the kibble snatching business. Baby, he snatched that kid, he's snatching back covers, and he was able to really expose more of the racism in the police departments and they call them now the Proud Boys. That ain't nothing but the Ku Klux Klan in khaki pants and a red polo. It's still the same thing. He was able to just really show. 45 was the igniter. And baby, when he lit that flame, it burned. And unfortunately, a lot of damage was done. But for things to be exposed, you're going to have to slough off those first couple of layers to get to the meat of it, or the lower, where all the truth is. And that truth is that America is really still very racist. It is. It's still a divided country. And unfortunately, 45 people think that, and I'm just still in awe of how many people still think that he is the best president there ever was.
Yeah.
And they drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I was gonna say, again, not to pull you off your topic of celebrating women, but even this past week's events, I wrote a piece this morning and I put on Facebook. I'm writing a longer version of that piece because I'm still waiting for somebody to explain to me how a man can shoot up a spa where people minding their own business with an assault weapon, and then shoot up a grocery store with an assault weapon, and somehow they manage to just go to jail with lunch. Whereas if you have a supposed fake $20 bill and it wasn't fake after all of that, you end up dead. And if you had a supposed knife in your car, a weapon that you never really got to, how you end up paralyzed and dead. And then you got people that were justifying and saying, well, the police, now this, I'm with Kamala on this. She said police need reform. And I was really in support of that whole idea of police needing reform because I think that most of their calls are in fact healthcare related or mental health related. But after looking at the events of this past week, I'm not so sure that the police don't have the capacity or ability to decide what is a mental health situation. They just choose to kill people of color. That's it, because clearly they can decide was a healthcare crisis because they took in 2 men who were clearly out of their, excuse my French, damn minds and shot up people, but they couldn't take in 1 man for a $20 bill without killing him. I just don't get it. So they have the capacity. So if that does not expose and show the depth of racism in this country, I don't know what else we waiting for here. But I won't railroad your whole conversation.
Thank you.
I just wanted to point that out in the light of, and Harris is one of the people who was really fighting, and she did a wonderful job. I know people gave her a hard time when she was running, talking about the number of men that of color that she had locked up. But here's the thing, those people were brought before her. She was doing her job. So again, we just have the disproportion of people of color being brought before the justice system as opposed to people being equally brought. Had they brought them equally as the crimes were committed, then she probably would have locked up as many other people, but that's not the preponderance of who she's being brought. So anyway, like I said, I'm gonna stop derailing your topic here and let you have your show back, because actually we are starting to wind up on time.
It looks like Almeida has something else to say. Go ahead.
No
really
problem.
I just wanted to say, Dr. King said it. Injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere.
Amen.
It's all injustice. We're seeing it here in Texas. Texas is number 4 in the country as far as abusing Asians. And I have some thoughts about that, but I ain't even gonna get in that. But it's time for the
That'll be
women.
another topic. We're gonna bring you back. Yeah.
This is time for the women to rise up, and the Lord is just showing it. And our mamas and aunties and other mothers and sister friends, they've been pushing us. Well, that's what we have to learn to do, to push each other. Stop just so much crap, excuse me, and start pushing each other up.
Almeida, you gonna get a regular invite to come on back here and
Yes,
do some more
ma'am.
talking.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So yes, it is, the hour has come to, we're going to conclude the show. Thank you so much for everyone, for all of these wonderful guests. Thank you for our wonderful, amazing guest, Miss Sandra Mosley, thank you for being my co-host this evening so much. Thank you for all of your knowledge. Thank you, ladies, Almeda, Diane, Mary, Lisa, Indigo Professional Services. Thank you all so much for tuning in, taking time out of your busy schedule today just to get on here and have a great conversation in honor of what? Women's Month.
History. Yes.
Yes.
Hey,
And
go ahead.
And I just want to say thank you again. Make sure you all, if you can't, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, all of those social media outlets. We are constantly trying to have great conversation about issues that affect us, and not just brown women, just women, men, all the things that affect us in general. And some of these conversations, I'm gonna tell you, a lot of them, this one is about women. The one we get last week was on St. Patrick's Day. We ain't gonna talk about, we're not gonna talk about that show. Oh Jesus, I think I just started flash talking about that show. Oh my gosh. So, but please take time to, don't be laughing at me because I'm having a hot flash. Yes, I am, Jesus. But
well, you're calling the right one.
Sandra Mosley, definitely on Facebook, her Dare to Be journal. Sandra, if you can, type in your links so that people can get access to your journal. I know they can get them on Amazon. Speaking of which, I did not know you had so many journals. Baby, she has, I counted them. It was 30 books on Amazon. That ain't nothing, but that's the bomb.com. We working on one. She got 30. I'm so glad that we are connected with you. I really love and appreciate you, Sandra. You're such a motivation. You're such a great person. Oh, great. She put it right there in the link. If you can, go to Amazon, buy her book, buy her journal. I got a few of them myself. Won't he do it? Yes, he will. But definitely, thank you so much to all of you all this evening. And so I'm going to sign off, and y'all have a wonderful, blessed week. All right?
All right. Thank you all. Blessings. Be safe. Love you guys.
Love you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
I know. Hold on, Indigo Professional Services. Don't you say nothing yet. I know. Ooh, hot flashes, Jesus. Won't he do it? Yes, he will. Ooh.
Hello. Hello. I'm not muted anymore. Hello?
Mute yourself, ma'am.
I'm not muted. Hello? Hello? Hello?
You keep unmuting yourself. You were muted. What happened?
Hello? Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we are still live, Chandra, so you might want to mute yourself.
Oh.